Hi kids, today is Thursday, April 23rd, and yesterday you finished lesson 20, and I hope you did well on the quiz. If not, just go back over it and review it with someone in your family. This is what we're going to be doing today, and this is just a note to your family telling them what we are going to be learning. So you could do this little activity with your family if you'd like. It says measure in feet and meters. It says this week your child is learning how to use different measuring tools to measure the lengths of objects. So you can go through that with them if you want. And then now we're on page 515. It says you already know how to measure in inches and centimeters. Use what you know to try to solve the problem below. About how long are his scissors measured in centimeters? So let's get our trusty old ruler out, and we're going to be doing centimeters. We need to line the 0 up to the end and then come down to the right and see what it's closest to. Is it closer to 8 or 9? I would say it's closer to 9. And so it says about how long? So I'm going to say about 9 inches. Okay, let's turn it over. You can do it with me or just follow along. About how long are the scissors? We decided they were 9 inches. About. Were they exact? No, but pretty close. Rulers often show both inches and centimeters. Many rulers show 12 inches. This is equal to 1 foot. So when you look at this ruler, it is 1 foot long. And there are 12 inches. I have it kind of upside down. Let's do this. There are 12 inches in a ruler, right? From 1 to 12. 0 to 12, that's 12 inches. And one ruler is 12 inches, is 1 foot long. See how this equals 1 foot? Okay, how many inches are in the ruler then? How many inches? 12. How many centimeters? 30. Some measuring tools are longer than a ruler. A yardstick shows 36 inches. I have a little yardstick here. It won't fit on my paper, but a yardstick is longer. Look how long it is. It goes from 0, and there's one ruler, 12 inches, but it keeps going. There's 2 rulers, if you were to line 2 rulers up, 24 inches. And it goes all the way to 36 inches, which equals 3 rulers. So if you were to line the rulers up to this yardstick, there would be 3 on it. There's also a meter stick, which I do not have an example of. But it's very similar to that. And there's also a measuring tape, which a lot of us, we talked about, I think, last week. And we see these in our, oftentimes in toolboxes. And they're even can go longer than a yardstick. I don't know how long this one goes, but it keeps going. Okay. And it can show inches. Here's the inches, and then the centimeters are the lines in between the inches. How is a yardstick like an inch ruler? How is a yardstick like an inch ruler? They both show inches, don't they? How are they different? A yardstick is a little longer, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. You're not going to see this paper in your desk, in your paperwork, because I don't want you taking time to write it out. But we can hurry and discuss it. Some examples of a ruler would be inches. You could write it, it's like an example would be like 0, 1, 2. Example like that. Another example, you could write out a ruler is a tool for measuring length. Also, rulers can show inches, centimeters, or both. Another example would be a yardstick, or a meter stick, or a measuring tape can measure lengths that are longer than a ruler. And then another thing you could maybe write is most rulers have inches and centimeters on it. Okay, that's good enough. I think you understand that, and I don't want to take too much time on this video. How many inches are shown on this ruler? We start at 0. How many? 6 inches. Okay, now it wants us to solve the problem. Kalia has sharpened her pencil many times. What is the length of her pencil in centimeters? How do you know? We look from here and it's 15 centimeters. We know because of the centimeter ruler, don't we? Okay, now we can move on to the next lesson. Now, originally, this is the second time I did this video because I started out with session 2 and then realized I had forgotten to do session 1. So the answers on these pages are already written in for us, but we will still take time to talk about them. It says to measure the length of your desk in feet. About how long is your desk measured in feet? So I took the ruler over to the desk and it showed that they were 2 of these rulers long. And so that would be 12 feet and 12 feet. So they were not feet. I'm sorry. We're talking feet. And each of these rulers are equal to 1 foot because there's 12 inches in it. And 12 inches equals a foot. So each of the desks were 2 feet long. 2 rulers. Here they have an example. They were showing you measuring a desk. And here's an example. It says, line up one edge of the desk with a 0 on a measuring tape. Find the number of feet closest to the edge. Okay, so I drew these lines earlier because I wanted you to see that this is 1 foot, 2 feet. They used a measuring tape. So, is this closer to that? Or is this edge closer to the 1 foot? It's closer to the 2 feet, isn't it? And so you could use measuring tape, but you can also just use 2 rulers, and that's what I did. I just used 2 rulers to measure it. And it is closer to 2 feet than it is to 1 foot. You don't need to do that, but if you'd like to, you can. As I said, I already answered these questions, but we'll go over it. Circle the objects that are easier to measure with an inch ruler. So you can see I've circled a shoe, a stamp, and an envelope. It's easier to use an inch ruler other than a yardstick. We want you to underline what would be easier to measure with a yardstick. We know a yardstick is 3 of these rulers, so a car and our classroom would be easier to measure with a yardstick. Okay, when I measured the feather, I went from one end, put the 0 on one end, and as you can see, this is the end. I don't know if you can see that, but it's closer to 5 inches. It's the nearest inch is 5 inches. It might not be exact, but that's the nearest inch. It's definitely closer to 5 than 4 inches. Down here it says, Vivian measures her wagon. She says that it is about 2 feet long. Maddox says it is about 3 feet long. Who is correct? So here's 2 feet, and here's about 3 feet. Is this closer to 2 feet or 3 feet? It's going to be closer to 2 feet. So Vivian is correct. Okay. Let's turn this over. And I I did page 522 first. I didn't have that in order again. I am so sorry. Turn it over to page 521. We haven't done this one yet together. I did write the answer, so look at the second measure. Is the length of this desk closer to 1 foot or 2 feet? So when we look at this, we already answered that, didn't we? It's closer to 2 feet. The nearest inch, what is the length of the rope? When you look up here, it says the nearest. What is the nearest inch? It is closest to 33, isn't it? It's closer to 33 than 32. And there's 1, 2, 3 feet because a yardstick has 3 feet. Is this closer to 3 feet or is this closer to 2 feet? It's closer to 3 feet. And the nearest yard, this is exactly 1 yard. It's going to be closest to the 1 yard. Okay, sorry that I did that a little backwards. Okay, now that we've discussed this, you can go and do the green page. You're going to want a ruler. If you have a yardstick, you can maybe use that, but remember you can use a ruler just as easy. So I want you to do both of these sides by yourself, page 523 and 524. And then I want you to do this worksheet, which is also front and back. Everyone has a ruler in the bag I gave them, so there should be no excuse to not do that. I will talk to you tomorrow.